Welcome to the Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to a Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. We're super excited to have you here, especially those that have heard the other episodes. My hope is that you'll hear a flow of things and we can transition into certain areas throughout our podcast so that you can kind of piece things together for yourself on how to navigate the entire process. So we're really excited you're here. I want to welcome Miss Jinohn Marr.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, I used to say it the other way, but I'm so glad Jinohn's here. Jinohn is super experienced working with court orders and families, and she's worked with parents, kids, littles. I mean, you name it, Jinohn's done it. And of course, with her background, you guys may have heard in episode 1 a little bit about her and her background and how she came to be. So we're so excited to have her on the show again and helping us go over a therapist's role in divorce. So today's episode is what do therapists do? How are they utilized? The work that they do when families are experiencing divorce. So, Jinohn, thanks again for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, glad to. It's really a treat when we can get to share the knowledge that we've learned in all the years we've done this together. So I'm so excited to have you. So let's get into a couple of things. I want to tell the listeners that it's really important to remember to subscribe so they can get the latest episodes. It's so important because I don't want you guys to get behind or miss things as we go through this together. So let's talk about our first topic. I want to talk about the difference between court-ordered and non-court-ordered families because we work with people who are not court-ordered. I used to call them court-adjacent.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the word you use.
Yeah, it is.
And so I would say, is this a court-adjacent case? Because I know our receptionist always has to ask, is this court-ordered?
Right.
So then we have, oh, no, it's not court-ordered, but we are in court. And so we call those court-adjacent. So that would be the non-court-ordered. We wouldn't call them court-adjacent if they have court involved, right? And then there's some non-court involved. So what's the difference between a court-ordered therapist role versus a non-court-ordered therapist role?
A lot of times I think... well, number one, voluntary, right? So if it's not court ordered, it is going to be voluntary. So parents are going to be able to choose who it is, or sometimes they are referred, So,
yes. It's a referral or a recommendation.
Yeah, referral, recommendation, something like that, but it's still voluntary. They don't have to bring their kids. They don't have to come, but it is recommended. And so, but I think for therapists, when we see that it's court adjacent, or even when I see it's court adjacent, I still have kind of like this half court mind on there, but then it's almost, I don't have to kind of look for something or, maybe something isn't necessarily happening, but I'm just kind of seeing whether or not my kiddo is doing good or, how are they adjusting to the differences or to kind of like the divorce or something like that. So it's a little bit more, I mean, I almost want to say freeing, it's almost like a free.
Right. What are the challenges that you think that therapists are going through when you have a court order versus a non-court order? What challenges do they present each side?
For court ordered, I think a challenge would be that whether or not they have to be an investigator.
Oh, now do you think they have to be, or do you think parents expect them to be?
They probably expect them to be an investigator. I really, and kind of circling back to that.
Yes.
I think a big challenge is that therapists have to, especially if it's court ordered, they have to be very clear on what their role is.
Oh, that's good for the therapist to hear. If you ever become court ordered or court's involved, be very clear on what you're here to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I mean, number one, read the court order. So, number one, right?
Yeah, that's probably really important.
But then also just being clear with both parents. This is my role with
Correct.
your child.
Yeah.
Or this is my role in your life or whatever it is. And then make that very clear. These are the boundaries. This is my role. This is what I will be doing with your child. If it's reunification, this is what reunification therapy looks like.
Yes.
Just being very clear with the parents and the kid.
Do parents come in with a certain set of ideas of what it's supposed to look like or how it's supposed to be? Is that what you're seeing with court-ordered families?
Some do, some don't. Some have no clue.
Okay, they're just like, I don't know what this is.
They just like, I don't know. it was just whatever. It was just ordered.
Yeah,
and
we were
now
ordered
have
and
to do
here,
it.
what do we do?
And here we are. Or there's no issue, so I don't know why I'm here. However, a lot of parents, they're like, well, you're supposed to do this, this, and this. They'll say that. They'll have a clear...
They'll tell us the role.
They'll tell us what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it's from their attorney or if it's...
How do you know that? Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
if it's just kind of something that they made up in their heads,
Sure.
Mhm.
Could be a combination.
It could be a combination
This is
of
what I heard from my
both.
attorney, so this is what I concluded from that conversation.
Yeah.
Sure. So a non-court order family, for those individuals that are listening that are going, well, I don't have a court order, but I do have a divorce case going on. I don't know how to work with my other co-parent. I don't know how to work with my kid. Or I've tried this, I've tried that, it doesn't work. What should they expect from a therapist when they seek out a counselor?
I think that they should probably, really what they're seeking kind of guidance.
Sure. That's exactly what I think they're seeking.
They're
Yeah.
seeking guidance on what to do. And I think even, this may not be answering your full question, but I think that even for therapists, when we get that, it's almost like let's call them customers,
Yeah, like the client is a customer.
The client is a customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like looking for some coaching of
Mhm.
sorts.
They're looking for something.
Right.
And that means that, if they're a customer, then they're going to be open to kind of what is needed
Sure.
for the kid.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Do you think when you have, okay, so for those non-court ordered families who are seeking out help to navigate the divorce, whether it's navigating with the relationship with the kid, navigating the relationship with the co-parent, whoever, do you think it's important for them to try to get the other parent involved in it? Or to kind of just go, just do your own thing, and whether that parent wants to be involved or not, just let it be?
Oh, absolutely. They need the other parent involved. There's two parents.
Yeah,
So,
it makes it so much more helpful if they can.
it's so much more helpful for the kid. And I always circle back to the kid
Right.
because that's really what it's about.
So would you discourage a parent from seeking out therapy for non-court ordered families, even if the other parent was opposed? Would you discourage them? Yeah. So would you discourage the parent? So let's say we got a phone call and let's say the client says, I want to come to therapy. I want to learn better how to navigate my divorce. And my co-parent or the other side is just not going to be a participant. They're not interested. They don't talk to me. Would you discourage them from doing it and saying, no, we can't do it unless the other parent's an active participant? Or do you think there's still a way to be helpful to them?
Oh, there's definitely a way to be helpful.
Okay.
In family systems, one part of the system changes, the whole system can change.
Isn't that amazing? People forget that, I think.
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah, because it's just like we need both. And it's just like,
Yeah.
maybe.
We did an episode with Armando, and he was talking about kids wearing different coats. He used the term of weather, right? So as the weather changes, meaning that the divorce stuff changes, whether it's in court or in the family, then the kid puts on a different coat, which is a role that they play.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're talking about, how we change or we acclimate to the system in which we're in. So even if that parent sought out treatment
Mm-hmm.
and the other
Yes.
parent's not a participant, they can still get a benefit from some change. But we would encourage it. It's so much better if we can get you both. If we can get the whole system, 'cause that's family therapy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then we make a bigger impact. I like that. Okay. So let me move into another one here. What are some common ways that families hope therapists will be used in a litigation? This is important because how often have you seen that happen where parents come in and they're hoping you'll be a certain way with their litigation? Is that a frequent thing? Is it infrequent?
It's very frequent.
Okay. So what are some
Yeah.
common ways they do that? Like maybe you can help the listeners kind of go, this is what some people are doing when
Yeah.
they want to come to therapists. What is it?
Yeah. Sometimes parents will explicitly say, I want you to find out what's going on so then you can tell the judge that my kid shouldn't be with the other parent.
Wow. And they'll
So,
say that.
explicitly. Like, your job is to tell the courts whether or not, my kid should be with mom or dad or something like that.
So do they see you more as a reporter to the court or an affiliate of the court?
Or a little bit of both.
Wow. They'll do both. Yeah. So this is common ways that they want to use the therapist.
Yes.
Do you think that ever goes well when they come in and want to use a therapist in that frame? Maybe the therapist never says, this is what I'm here to do.
Oh, yeah.
But do you think that it's even helpful for a parent to approach the therapy?
Yeah. Like this is a piece to my puzzle or a piece to my agenda.
That's it. So now I'm going to go back to something. Do parents use therapists to achieve their own agendas?
They can.
They can.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
is that infrequent or frequent?
I don't know if I can specifically say frequent,
Right.
but I have seen it many times.
Right.
For them, for parents to, just be like, well, essentially I'm right, the other parent's wrong.
Yep.
And my kid's going to come in here and prove to you that I'm right and the other parent's wrong. And so therefore it's going to help my side.
Right. And I think what I'm hoping listeners get from that is like, you can have the wrong approach to therapy, which impacts the therapeutic intervention that's really designed to be helpful to you.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe we shift gears for a second. Let's talk about how parents should. What's a way they should approach therapy, even when they're in litigation? It could be the most litigious case that's ever been seen in the court. But if the parents were to take this approach, right, or even if one of the parents took this approach,
Mm-hmm.
how would it be helpful? What's a way to do that?
The best way, I think, and I'll say the best way, but a great way for parents to approach it is, I'm not sure, just kind of curious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what this therapy is going to be about.
Yeah.
And then allow the therapist to share with them
Right.
what is the purpose,
Right.
the boundaries, the goals, all that stuff.
So we're saying two things there, it feels like. We're saying take your preconceived ideas of what you think this is supposed to look like, shelve them for a second. Take your agenda, shelve it for a second.
Yeah.
And go, let me learn what this really can do for me.
Yeah.
And see how it could relate to, but not necessarily make that the goal. So don't make the goal the agenda. Don't make the goal
Right.
your perceived notion.
Right.
Yeah. Is that what I'm just making sure I'm hearing you right. Is that what you're hoping the listeners will get from this is the way to approach therapy?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do here's another, I'll flip it. What type of clients do you think therapists love?
Oh, they love,
Like when you're like doing your best work, you're like, when the family approaches it this way, this
Yeah.
is where I get to do my best work. The best me comes out for them.
Yes.
Tell me that. Tell them that.
So when I get families when I have both parents on the same page, they may not agree on how to get there, but they agree on the goal.
Mm-hmm. What's the term for that? What was that term? Was it parental alignment versus?
Parental alignment. Yes. When they can align parentally, like this is the end goal, you know, and when they're open to hearing their child, because the thing is, one thing that I've learned is that kids have really good ideas on how parents can do things differently because they're observant, you know, and they're living it. So
That's the part forgotten.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're living it.
They're living it. And so when parents are just open, they're just like, okay, yeah. And then when mom and dad are in session and they say that they will both work on it.
Wow.
It's magical for the kids, you know, because then it's almost like a relief for them. It's just like, oh, I don't have to hold this. Both of my parents are in agreement of are working together.
Yep.
And then after that, being able to work with the parents and saying, okay, we may have two different ways of doing this. Is there a way for you guys to be able to appreciate the different ways that you're doing it?
You know, I used to say this, and I actually heard this. I got to give credit where it's due. Dr. Linda Metcalf used to say, a GPS can get you to the same spot multiple different, ways.
Yeah.
And I think you see this. If you plug in your GPS and you say, I want to go here. So that's the end goal.
Yeah.
But it goes, here's one route. Here's another route.
Yeah.
Here's another route. And sometimes parents don't realize they have the same goal. They have different routes. And so then the parent's upset at the other parent because they're like, no, I want them to follow my route. And they're like, no, I'm still going to get there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go a different way. Yeah. And so you're saying the best way to approach that is come curiously, right? Come with curiosity, realizing there's multiple ways to achieve the same goal. But if you can align on the end goal,
Yes.
then we can have a better dialogue with you, the co-parent, and the child in helping you achieve what that is. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So What are some other ways that families can come in and experience really good therapeutic intervention when they're in divorce? What are other ways that they could do that?
Um,
Like, how do they get the best version of you is what I'm asking.
I think also being honest. I think it's really difficult in litigation to be honest.
Why do you think that is?
Probably because they think we're tattletellers. I don't know.
You know what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so this is a professional tattleteller.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, oh
professional
my gosh.
tattleteller. They're going to tell
I've
on
never
me.
thought of it like that.
Yeah. And so I have to put my best foot forward because I have an agenda, right?
I
And
have a goal that's
I have
personal to me.
a goal, yes.
Mhm.
And I can't have them telling, this bad thing about me. So
Let's
yeah.
clear that up for people.
Yeah.
Is that really what therapists do? Are they really tattletellers? What are they really trying to do?
All we're trying to do is help the family be more functional for the kid and for the parents.
So when parents come honestly, even if the agenda is opposing a court order for court order clients, or even it comes in and they have an old final decree, but the parent doesn't like it, if they come in and just honest about it and say, look, I don't agree with the court's ruling on this. I don't agree with this, situation. How does that help the therapeutic intervention when you have that kind of honesty from a parent?
It's genuine intervention, right? So if we have, let's say if we have something that's a little bit disingenuous, like they bring us something disingenuous, no, I didn't do that, no, our intervention is going to be disingenuous.
So it's going to look like we're not even effective.
Yeah, it's not going to be effective because we're not really helping the actual issue because the actual issue is hidden.
Wow. What do you suppose, has a parent ever told you, maybe they started the conversation with something that was disingenuous, but as you went through the therapeutic process, they became more, genuine? What I'm wondering is, have you ever had that before? Have you had a parent do that before? Like they started one way, ended a different way?
I have to think.
I know. I was thinking about that too. I don't know if a client's ever said that to me though. Like, I want to be honest with you. I wasn't really being upfront with you when I first started, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. I don't think I've ever had a client do that.
I've had kids do that. Maybe not parents.
Start with the kids.
But
okay,
kids,
tell
yes.
me about that.
So especially with teenagers, but even with littles.
Right.
They'll be nervous or scared to say something to me because maybe from a parent or somebody, there's just, they may, even not even from a parent, but sometimes they may have an idea. If I say it, then I'll lose a parent. So what ends up happening is I have to keep this thing a secret to protect my parent because I don't want to lose my parent. And so after a while, they get to know me. They get to know that, oh, she's not going to say anything, to this other parent or this parent. Yeah. And there really is no agenda in...
Like you, the therapist, don't have an agenda.
The therapist doesn't have an agenda. They're only here to help me navigate through all this and only here to help my parents.
Right.
Then they end up saying, okay, I wasn't being totally honest. I get that. I get an okay. That's usually where it starts.
Where does it go from there? In a therapeutic intervention, when you get that, you get the okay. Let me kind of tell you what's really there. Then tell me what happens from that point forward.
The kid just kind of opens up to everything that's happening, everything that's going on, what they're feeling, and then that's the time where we can really process what's going on, and then they get to know kind of after this, how do we help the parents do better?
Right.
And that's really what I say is I was like, I'm just here to help your parent do better. So when we bring your parent in, because I always will bring the parent in.
Right. At some point, parents coming in.
Coming in. And I always tell them this. I said, look, your parents got to come in because I don't live at your house. And I tell them, I don't live at your house.
Yeah. I don't live there, but I hear you.
So I can't, I can't intervene right then and there. I said, but what I can do is help your parent do better. And so then I work with them on just how to talk to their parent.
And this goes back to just what you said earlier, the more honest we can just be in the process. Maybe that's going to lead me into something. My question is, what recommendations would you make to parents that are seeking out therapy, that are in divorce?
Yeah. First is to be open. And I think we kind of talked about that with curiosity, not really putting our agenda on the shelf.
Right.
Being open to the process, being open to kind of what's about to happen or what my kid's going to tell me,
Correct.
He's going to tell me, Jinohn, or, them as the parent.
Okay.
Next is to, just be honest.
Open,
Open,
honest. Okay.
Yeah.
Write these down.
Honest with yourself, first.
Yeah.
And then honest with the professional, because that's where the work really happens is where honesty is.
So I have a question there. If a person's afraid to be honest, would you rather them just tell you that?
Oh, yeah.
Like if they come in and say, hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I want to tell you a lot of things. I'm a little nervous to do that, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is that then we can start there.
Yeah. I this is weird. You're making me think of a case I had once. I had a parent had come in, and the parent had done so many sessions with me, and it started with a reunification, and then things got better. At least they were functional. They were better. I wouldn't say that the parent would be like, oh my gosh, it's better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
But it definitely was in a place where everyone was in agreement we're in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that parent said, well, since we're kind of like not necessarily doing reunification anymore, can I still come in and talk with you? And of course, I took a lot of respect for that. I said, just got to make sure everybody knows that, right? So I had to make sure dad knew that and the kid and everyone was good and everyone was good. And so the parent started seeing me individually. Well, long story short, the parent says, I have to tell you something. Said, we're in a really good place, like the co-parents. Like they kind of parallel more than they co-parent. But they said, we're in a good place now, and the kiddo's doing well, and we're about to finish this deal. I'm about to go to a mediation. I'm going to finish this. But I have a problem. My one hang up. I need the child support. I can't make it without it.
Yeah.
The bills, the house that I'm in, my whole life would have to change. And I remember just looking like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like that's like icky. Like, I understand that child support's for the child, but when you've built your life centered around using the support to support self,
yeah,
you get stuck there. And so I will tell you, as hard as it was to hear that, I appreciated so much that it was so open and honest. And I'll tell you, that conversation, I'm not going to give the details to that.
Yeah.
But I will say that conversation then transitioned into how to create a life that didn't require the necessity of that.
Yeah.
And it's like almost a freedom. Because really what they were saying is, I am a prisoner to this current system because I require this. And it was impeding a resolution.
Yeah.
And that honesty went so far. I think that's what I hope listeners get from that is like, man, if you just use us as what we're designed to be, I can't give you legal advice, but I can definitely talk to you about how to be the best version of yourself for your kid with the information. That doesn't mean I'm not. If you give me permission to talk to your attorney, I'm willing to talk to your attorney about from the therapeutic standpoint, and they can talk to you from the legal standpoint. They enmesh the two together. Before you know it, you're solving problems.
Yeah.
I think people forget that part of us.
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
Yeah, when you said that, it triggered. So we have open, that's an example of the honest. What was the other one?
Last one is be patient.
Okay, tell me more about that. What does that mean?
A lot of times when parents will come in, especially with reunification.
Right.
And the reunifying parent, they just want go right now.
Oh, it's the speed.
Right now. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And so, and then it ends up pushing this kid, but it pushes this kid further away.
When they go too quick.
Okay. And so being patient in that manner it means a lot more, I think, to kids when they can sit there and they can be like, you know what, my parent, even though, like when they're older, even though I was being, like this angry teenager.
Yeah,
and
they get there eventually, right?
Yeah, and I was pushing them away and I was taking my time. My parent took the time with me. They took the time with me to be able to work with me and not against me or behind me or anything like that, but just work with me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the hope, is that it feels that way even if the court's ordered time with the parent. We were talking about quality versus quantity and having maybe even creating a podcast around that. I don't know if parents would want to hear more about that, but the idea that we want the kids to get the sense that, you're working with me. I may not agree with the outcome that you have, but we're doing it together.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely important. So let me do this. For court-ordered versus non-court-ordered families, what would you want? What's the one takeaway you want to make sure they have from that? What do they need to remember? If you're court-ordered versus non-court-ordered, what's important to remember in that?
I think with either one, the therapist is there to help.
Regardless of which one.
Regardless of whichever
therapist
one.
is here to help.
The therapist is there to help.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. On the other one, we had some common ways families hope therapists will be used in their litigation. What's the takeaway they need to remember in that one?
That therapists, or no, not even that therapist, probably putting your agenda on the shelf.
Oh, yeah.
With that one.
Yep. Put your agenda aside for a second.
Aside. And just be
Doesn't mean it's not important.
Yeah.
But let's put that over here, and let's be curious about some other ideas here. And then, stay curious maybe is a good one there too.
Stay curious, yeah.
Put agenda aside, stay curious. I like it. Okay. And then on the last one, where therapists can be most effective in divorce, what would be your takeaway there? What do you want people to remember?
They can be most effective when you are honest.
Going back to the honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm going to recap these 3 things you said. The recommendations you make for people is be open.
Yes.
Okay. So open almost means in some ways be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay. Like you can be vulnerable. We're not here to hurt you. We're here to help you. Okay. So vulnerable, open, and then be honest, right? Just tell us truth. Even if it's like, this is hard, or I'm scared, or just tell us. It's okay. You can even ask for a private. Have you ever had a parent say, can I talk to you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes? And you just said, I'm never going to offer you that.
No, never.
They usually ask when the time's up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like time's up, counseling's over. And they're like, can I get 5 minutes? I'm like,
definitely.
Please ask me in the beginning so I can carve it out for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to hear, that's a good time to do that. Okay. Or a good way.
Yeah.
Sure. And then the last one I love is be patient, which is really find your pace.
Yes.
Yeah. Find the pace.
Find the pace.
Yeah. And you think that's a kind of a unidirectional, like it's my pace, you fulfill it. It's the kid's pace, we fulfill that. Or is it a mutual thing? Like we need to find our pace.
It's mutual. And I've had a lot of success, especially with teenagers and parents, where if they can collaborate on the pace, it just works so much easier.
Yeah.
Because then the kid's willing, and the dad, I'll say dad, but a lot of times, the parent is like, I'm going to pull back a little bit, and that's okay. And then the kid just kind of gives more and gives more, and, the parent just doesn't even have to do much.
Wow. It's funny. I had a case where these 2 parents were in a mediation, and they gave the mediator the permission to reach out to me. And it wasn't to talk about the case, wasn't to go over notes or anything. All they said was, Michael, we're trying to build in basically like a step up.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this comes up a lot, a step up to help the parent reconcile, reunify with this kid. And they want to move the kid from the shallow end to the deep end. So they want to do a step up.
Yeah.
And they would call me and say, do you think this would be the best way to do this for this kid? And all we're really discussing is pace. Like, how many sessions do we do? Do we do sessions in between the visits? And all that's coming out is pace. And what's really fun in those calls is I say, please let me know where the parents agree, because it's the greatest gift I can give the child.
Yeah.
When the child comes in for therapy and I say, I have an MSA, your parents agreed on this.
Agreed. Yep.
It's so much more powerful than the court ordered.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and I think that's that pace piece. If they can at least come up with that, that's a great start.
Yeah.
So I love that. I'm so glad you brought that up today. So is there anything else you want listeners did I miss anything today that you think listeners should hear? Because there's so much to this, but
there really is.
Yeah. Is there anything else you just say, hey, Michael, make sure that and listeners need to know this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I had a feeling.
I got one.
I said something off
I got
you.
one. Parents, I really want parents to give themselves grace.
Elaborate on that.
Parents will beat themselves up for things that have happened or things that they've done, but it's about grace giving. I even teach kids, a parent did something wrong. Can we give them grace? And I teach them what grace is.
Wow.
But giving them grace, so then it's just like, we're human, we're going to mess up. This may be your first divorce. You're not going to be perfect at it. But give yourself grace. Yeah.
Hope it's a first and only. Yeah. And yep.
We're not professionals at divorce,
Us?
We're not professionals at having.
I'm teasing you.
Well, I mean, look.
It's a joke. You said that I had to joke with you. I'm sorry. I'm teasing.
But it's giving grace.
Sure.
Give yourself grace. Give your kids grace. Kids will hopefully give you grace. I give grace all the time.
I feel like we teach this to kids when they're really little. Like part of parenting is even teaching your kid to have grace, because you mess up as parents, they mess up as kids. And I feel like graceful parents, man, don't we hear about that in church too? Yeah. There's a deeper component to this even in our faith. And so I love that. I'm so glad we didn't miss that today.
Yeah.
Well, anything else?
No.
No. That's it.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. We love to have had you. Thank you to Jinohn again for being here, as she just provides us so much information from so many different dynamics, and I can't wait for you to hear from her more. If you would like to continue to follow us on Instagram, we hope you will. That's a great way to keep up with us. And our Instagram tag is at Brighter Possibilities FC. Again, that's at Brighter Possibilities, F as in family, C as in counseling. On Facebook, Brighter Possibilities Family Counseling is where you'll find us. Again, Facebook, Brighter Possibilities Family Counseling. We're so glad you joined us. Stay tuned for the next wonderful episode that we can provide you, and just keep moving forward.